Hola, buenos días. This is video number 4 about the relevant markets that we can consider for Costa Rica and wellness tourism. A couple of market highlights that we need to identify and we learned from industry data, and I would like to share it with you. Probably it's not as well known as probably should be that the North American market is more and more reliant on individual travel advisors, not on major tour operators, but individual travel advisors. So the training of these advisors about the amazing opportunities that they can have in Costa Rica for wellness tourism will be a number one task for the activities in the coming years. We also have to mention that solo travelers becoming more and more important coming from North America, both United States as well as Canada, and solo particularly for women. Those guests typically coming for holistic treatments and more particularly for yoga camps and trainings, since many of them are actually yoga trainers themselves. Men are less likely, they would come as a solo traveler from North America to Costa Rica. We also mentioned that Europeans are the highest spenders, especially when we talk about wellness. They can easily spend 2,000 euros, which is around $1,800 per person per trip when they come to Costa Rica. So the targeting of European travelers can be a very lucrative task or activity, but shouldn't forget that those guests may have a different set of expectations, and they know probably even less of Costa Rica as guests from North America. And interesting here that specialist packages we already can see the emergence of, such as combination of yoga and surf, yoga and adventure. We need to see how those packages can be further developed and which part of the country we can identify more opportunities in terms of these combined packages. Interestingly, first-timers are very important from Europe. 85% of guests coming to Costa Rica are actually never been to the country. This is the first experience, as well as the difficulty of convincing them to think about coming to Costa Rica can be a difficult task, but at the same time, because of the curiosity factor, they will be very interested to come. From North America, roughly 60% of the guests are first-timers, but 40% already have been to the country. To those, wellness services can be an additional reason why to return to Costa Rica. We also have to mention that already hot springs are interesting value propositions, but not as wellness services, but more like natural wonders. This is a good introduction to the variety of services that we can have in Costa Rica for wellness tourists, but we also have to see how the services like that can be further developed, and understanding that there are some risks associated with the natural hot springs and how the responsible bathing rituals and bathing routines would need to be taught to the guests. This is a very complicated table and chart, and sorry about that when we look at the variety of services that we can see all around the world, and many of those are actually relevant competitors to Costa Rica. This chart gives you a very good overview. I would invite you to come back or even stop the video here and look at the various competitive countries and why we believe are relevant here to be mentioned. Islands such as Bali or the Canary Islands or Ibiza certainly is very, very competitive in the holistic part of the wellness segment. Also India and Sri Lanka, Thailand also spirituality, but shouldn't forget the Finland, which is probably very far, the geographically really very far, and also you might say that it's nothing to do with Costa Rica, but since Finland, for example, is selling nature and silence, we believe is something meaningful to look at. And also we shouldn't forget the Caribbean pretty much any island of the Caribbean, which are, especially from Europe, but also from North America, can be very competitive in terms of hedonistic, in a very positively hedonistic lifestyle and recreation and leisure activities. Also, in wellness, we need to mention a good number of anchor facilities, which are defining the market, and it doesn't even matter where they are, people want to visit that particular place, such as the Ananda in India, but also Rancho La Puerta in Mexico, or Chivasam in Thailand, but also Golden Doors and Kenya Ranch in the United States. We do have such anchor facilities in Costa Rica. There are facilities which could achieve that position, but they need further work, and we will talk about that opportunity a little bit later. And also in terms of developed wellness supply per se, per country, many European countries have developed amazing facilities and concepts as well in the wellness supply, and in later stage I will give a couple of examples. And also particularly looking at the natural thermal resources, again, large number of countries have developed very different but available resources in wellness tourism based on thermal resources. This is again a very complicated chart, but the important message here is that we need to look at by types of facilities. We cannot say that all of Thailand is competitor, all of the United States is competitor, all of Mexico is competitor, because it's not true. When we look at hotels and resorts with a spa, we have a different set of competitors. When we look at thermal facilities, we have a different set of competitors. When we look at wellness hotels, difference again. Destination spas or holistic spiritual retreats, again, very, very different. So don't think that one country can be competitive in every single product category, in every single infrastructure category. Whenever you are creating communication, you have to identify yourself very well. Where do you belong in that supply list and that scale, from hotels, resorts with spa down to spiritual retreats, and identify your competitive set accordingly. Otherwise, you can find yourself competing with the whole world, literally. And also, what countries are proposing and how they are defining themselves. And the four categories here I would like to call attention to is that guests take something local which may be wellness related, such as in Colombia and Portugal. They have some generic wellness experiences, which is a lovely hotel with a lovely spa and some hot springs, but nothing particular. Also, we have very focused, very unique wellness defined offers down to very specialized, only the spirit orientated, Ayurveda orientated, combination with healing and wellness orientated services. So it depends. Or on the Canary Islands, you find especially fitness orientated resorts. Switzerland using the climate and the hot springs combined. In Austria, they use the alpine climate and nature, such as hay, to improve certain indications. So it depends again, are you very specialized or are you very generic? When you look at competitors, you need to be very specific, otherwise, again, it can be very overwhelming. The industry is very fragmented. We have very high-end services, 5-6-star services with very expensive price tags, as well as very low-key family entrepreneurs who are running a retreat, just 5-10 people at a time, and they're very basic, but the spiritual message is the one people pay for, and not the very expensive bathrooms or spa treatments. So you have to be very careful how you identify your market proposition. And as a suggestion, I would like to call your attention to this sequence of thinking when you identify your position and which segment you want to go for, because hedonism and self-gifting, there's nothing wrong about those. People buy a lot of spa treatments, spa packages, especially in combination with honeymoons and weddings, which are gifting hedonistic services. They can buy fantastic services there, nothing wrong about it, but it's a one-off. The other end of the spectrum, but they're not wellness tourists. Also, the ones who just sit in a hot spring, enjoy the sights, they are not wellness tourists. Those who are interested in having a spa in the hotel or having a gym in the hotel, they are adventure, recreational tourists with a high interest in wellness. But we need to look at the holistic end, where the trainers in the yoga camp, the ones who would like to learn from a shaman, they're very much representing the holistic and spiritual end. Those who want to have the whole package defined by wellness services, the gastronomy, the bedroom, the treatment areas, the open air, the thermal experiences, the treatments, all coming under one umbrella. They are representing the bulk of wellness services and wellness demand. And also we have a bit of a medical wellness combination in the middle, where people might expect the inclusion of some healing, a more formal healing as well. So you need to identify which market you want to go for. There's nothing wrong or bad or good in here, but the important thing is to find the right one, the one which is you and the one which you can really go after. Don't think that you can have all of them, because those who go to spiritual retreats don't go to hotels, because hotel and spirituality in the mindset, they don't go together. Those who go for self-gifting and spa, they want to have something very personal and very pampering and very feeling of luxury being pampered. And they don't necessarily want to do anything with let's say holistic services. So you have to really locate yourself, which market segment you want to go after, and then you have to do that well. In the trainings, we will help you to identify that position, and they will tell you how to engage with that market and what kind of expectation that market has in terms of services, in terms of communication, and in terms of partnerships. Do you have to go for individual travel advisors, you have to go for specialist tour operators, or you have to go to find yoga clubs in Canada, otherwise you cannot get your guests. So every group here would have its own characteristics, and we would just like to highlight here that you have to be really careful and then onwards just follow that path. I believe that looking at the market and the competition, there you might have more questions than answers right now, but that's perfectly okay. That's exactly why we created these videos, since when we meet you, we can answer all those questions. And in the meantime, feel free to scroll back, look at the various options and competitive ideas, and try to identify yourself that by the time we meet next, we will have the right questions from you, so we can prepare the right answers for you. Thank you.